Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I rise to support this measure. When we talk in this house or outside, we always talk in terms of the farmers. It is a fact that our country is predominantly a farming country. 80% of our population is dependent on agriculture. Therefore, even in the sphere of industries, particularly those which are agro based, a scientific approach is required. Up till now, it appears that the trend of thinking for industry is mostly in favor of those which are not agro based. In fact, most of our industries in India, whether they are sugar, textile, or jute, are agro based industries. But particularly with regard to sugar industry, you would appreciate that majority of the farmers, whether they are in the north or in the east or the south or in some parts of the west or even in central India, find that sugarcane growing is becoming more and more unprofitable. It is true that in some of the states where there is canal irrigation or where there is perennial cheap irrigation, people do cultivate sugar. Sugar is one of our agricultural produce which heavily supports and our exchequer. Moreover, because of the sugar production, we are in a position to maintain the stability of prices in the country. Therefore, my primarily submission would be that we should realize that this industry should survive, progress, and prosper. Its maladies and the causes of its sickness have got to be tackled. For quite a long time, we have been hearing complaints from the farmers that they are not being paid sugarcane prices in time and that the sugarcane prices are becoming more and more unremunerative to them. It is unfortunate that in this country, whether it is profitable or not, the farmer is compelled to go on growing his farming products. This is his weakness. He cannot think in other terms. If you apply cost benefit ratio principle here, you will find, unlike other industries, the farmer has got no choice to divert to other fields. Therefore, this industry needs the utmost attention by the government. My friend from the opposition rightly said that it is well known how the profits and capitalists of these sick industries have been siphoned off. Today we know that 600 textile mills are suffering because of its maladies and sickness. We know that millions of people are not off job. Similarly, if you do not give specific attention to the sugar industry, the fate of the farmers and workers in the sugar factories would be in jeopardy. Therefore, my submission is that until we make the entire farming community stand on its own legs, our goal of making our economy self-reliant as early as possible will not be achieved. Therefore, sir, my submission is that today we export our sugar at a subsidized rate. People also say that sugar should be made available at cheaper rates in our country. No doubt the interest of the consumer has to be protected. The same thing is happening even with regard to the milk industry or dairy industry. The farmers and the women who are rearing animals do not get remunerative prices for milk and milk products. But we want to provide them at cheaper rate because butter should be available at the table for the morning breakfast. Ghee should be available at the dining table at cheaper rate. All these are the demands made by the vocal people. So far, we are going on yielding to the demand made by the vocal people and not by the people who are perspiring on the soil. So far, we have not paid any attention to the difficulties of the farmers. I come from a village and I know the difficulties of the villagers. There is no 8-hour shift. There is no dearness allowance with the rise in the price index level. But does it mean that he should not get even the remunerative price for the products he provides? Maybe sugar cane, maybe milk, maybe food grains, maybe castor oil, maybe pulses or anything else. Now the time has come when we have to pay attention to their needs and aspirations and see that the farmer gets the remunerative price. Of course, I welcome and support this bill, but I would say it will be in the strict relevance of the situation if I impress upon the Honorable Minister and the Agricultural Department in the Government of India to pay more attention to the difficulties of our farmers. Now the time has come that even with regard to agriculture and agro-based industries, a scientific approach and thorough examination has got to be done. Otherwise, the discontent and the poverty that you want to eradicate, you would not be in a position to root out for all time to come. In the sugar industry, modernization is not there. Depreciation funds which are being collected by the industry are not used properly. Allotment of funds, as already mentioned, is done for the other industries but not for the sugar industry at all. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I take my stand here to support the Constitution Amendment Bill moved by Shri Thomas. I think he has done a service to this House and to this country by drawing the attention of this country to the very important aspect that unless right to work is made a fundamental right in the Constitution and every young man and woman is guaranteed some job, the very basic premise of our Constitution is going to flounder. Our Constitution in a preamble guarantees justice, social, economic and political. Article 19(1)(a) of the Fundamental Rights guarantees freedom of speech and expression. Article 21 guarantees protection of life and Article 23 says that there will not be any traffic in human beings and beggary is prohibited. All these fundamental rights and the laudable principles laid down in the preamble can have no effect if millions of unemployed men and women in this country moved about in search of job and livelihood. Today, the unemployment register shows that there are millions of unemployed men and women. Even that, I think, is a tip of the iceberg, because a large section of our men and women do not register themselves either because facilities are not available or it is not known to them in many rural areas that they have to register themselves, and also because of the indifference that even if they register themselves, they are not going to get the job. I believe the greatest threat that this country is facing in all its aspects is from these unemployed young people. Young people, unemployed men and women, in my view, is a potential bomb. We talk of very high principles of democratic ways and of moral values. But what does it mean to a young man if he cannot sustain himself by 2 square meals a day? If we talk to him that he has to maintain certain values in life, because after all one cannot maintain values with any empty stomach. Therefore, this state owes a duty to the country and to these young men and women that they must be given the minimum security of their life. Article 19(1)(a) guarantees freedom of speech and expression. To whom freedom of speech and expression? To those who have got sufficient means to exercise that freedom. That freedom is not available to the millions here. After all, a man who does not have even 1 square meal a day, what freedom of speech and expression can he ever hope to aspire? After all, he shall have either to beg, borrow or steal from somebody to maintain his livelihood. Article 21 gives protection of life and personal liberty. The highest court of this land has given an extensive meaning to the words right to life. But the right to life connotes, in my respectful submission, that he must have the means to maintain his life. When the state guarantees, or when this constitution guarantees right to life to an individual, automatically it follows that there must be a guarantee that he can maintain his life. If we cannot guarantee 2 square meals a day to him, if we cannot guarantee to him the subsistence level, what is the use of having Article 21 in the Constitution saying that you have the right to life? Traffic in human beings and beggary are prevented and prohibited. But what can a man do? Either he shall have to go for illegal means or irregular means, and even for trafficking in human beings or beggary.